Hello, and welcome to another World of UX podcast. This is your host, Darren Hood. Glad that you're able to tune in today. Thank you for those that take the time to listen, to watch, those watching on YouTube, wherever you might be partaking of the podcast today. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. As always, a special welcome to those of you joining us for the first time. Glad that you took the time as well. I got a little bit of a special treat. Are we continuing this week with the talk circuit? Yes, we are. However, instead of going way, way back, or even going back a few years, 10 years, whatever it might be, last week, I had the honor of speaking at the Human Factors International 2025 conference. I was so excited, so honored, and I delivered my talk about ethics for UX. And what I did was I looked at the Hippocratic Oath. It's something that people in the medical field, an oath that they take when they're coming into that discipline. And I looked at the Hippocratic Oath one day and I noticed, wow, I can see parallels between that and what we should be doing in UX. And so just as a way of really stirring up our mindsets with regard to being more ethicals, because UX is a practice that demands ethics. And a lot of people are in UX today and don't care about ethics, don't practice ethics. You're going to see. Anyway, I'm going to get ahead of things here. Don't want to do that. Folks, sit back, take in my talk from last week's Human Factors International 2025 conference, where I spoke on the topic of UX and the good doctor. Enjoy, and we'll see you at the end.
All right, your next presenter is Darren Hood. Darren is passionate about all things user-centered design with over 29 years of experience with organizations such as Ford Motor Company, General Motors, Applied Systems, Bosch, Cengage Learning, National Geographic Learning, Sherwin-Williams, and IBM, to name a few. Darren holds adjunct professor roles at UCLA, Michigan State, Brandeis, Champlain College, and Lawrence Tech. You can hear Darren on the World of UX podcast, heard in over 100 countries, available through a host of popular sources. Darren speaks on the international UX circuit and is one of the authors featured in the book 97 Things Every UX Practitioner Should Know. Please welcome Darren Hood.
Hello, hey everybody. I know we got to chat for a little bit. I got to say hello to a couple of folks there that I know. I'm going to move very quickly today because we've got roughly 20 minutes to present the content, and then want to set aside, have 10 minutes for some Q&A. So my talk today, as you already know, is about UX and the good doctor. That's the title. Basically, we're focusing on ethics and UX, but we're looking at it through the lens of the Hippocratic Oath. Something that is very familiar to those in the medical community. So we're going to start off by level setting. And again, I'm going to be moving pretty quickly here because I normally deliver this talk in about 40 minutes, but we're going to get it done. Level setting. What is user experience? I know a lot of people, you're going to have your own definitions. You have things that you're thinking. Some of you still know, you don't know how to define it. Let's just focus on this for the purpose of level setting and for the talk that I'm about to deliver. So basically, a lot of people limit UX to aesthetics. And basically, I'm going to talk for a minute about what UX is not, is what we're going to do with this slide. They limit UX to aesthetics, hence the UX, UI people, and UX is not UI. It's showing off the t-shirts again. But it's not. It's not limited to aesthetics, and you are really doing yourself a disservice when you look at it that way. It's not. Again, UX is not UI. It's not just one thing. UX is actually a moniker, and we'll talk about that in a bit. It's not design thinking. That's not what UX is, and I'll resist the temptation to pull a soapbox out on that since we have only 20 minutes. And basically, UX is not UX if it doesn't include actual insights from actual users. So we want to make sure as we think about what UX is, keep these things in mind. From a definition standpoint, just going to present one definition today. This is one that I came up with that I share a lot when I'm teaching, when I'm mentoring, when I'm just talking to people. UX basically refers to a set of methods, methodologies, techniques and deliverables that a UX professional employs to find the sweet spot between user goals, business goals, and various types of constraints. UX is essentially a strategic type of operation. And so if you think you know Figma and you know UX, think again. It is a strategic operation for the most part. This is UX. Some of you that are already familiar with me have seen this illustration. It's one of many. It's not the only one. It's one of many. And it's meant to really, not for you to read all of these, although there's a way to employ that and do some things. It's really meant, I created this illustration to show how big UX really is. And so I want to make sure people know it's not just one thing, it's actually all of these things utilized as you need to get the job done. So now thinking about UX, we see what UX is, we see what UX is not. And UX is just one of many types of occupations, disciplines in the world. The one thing that's interesting that ties all of these different occupations together, whether it's pilots, construction people, cooks, gardeners, the medical profession, which is going to be our focus today, there is one common thread with everything, and it is ethics. And interestingly, with ethics, UX and ethics don't get covered a lot, and we'll talk about that a little bit toward the end. You don't really hear about it. A lot of people are excited to be in UX. A lot of people want to get into UX, but the ethics side of UX rarely gets any coverage at all. And a lot of people are occupying space in UX, and they either are never taught it, they don't give any thought to it, they don't understand what the ramifications are, they don't understand the importance, they don't understand how it drives value. And that's where we want to go today. So UX, when it comes to UX and ethics, there's the big red line through it. People just don't think about it and they're not doing it. We want to put something on your plate. We just want to provoke some thought is basically what we want to do today. And so we're going to look at UX through the lens of probably the most famous, the most well-known ethical guidelines on the planet, and that is the Hippocratic Oath. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the Hippocratic Oath, is basically one of the oldest binding documents in the history of the medical profession as a whole. There are two versions. There's an old classic version, which is centuries old, and then there is a modern version, which was written in 1964 by Louis Lasagna, who's the academic dean of the School of Medicine at Tufts University, and it is used in many medical schools today. Now, today, most graduating medical school students take a form of the oath, usually the modernized version. And there are also some people, though, in the midst of all this, how popular it is, how standard it is, there are still people that do not subscribe to it. There are people that do not embrace it. But please know and understand that while it is an accepted norm, operating without embracing the Hippocratic Oath is pretty much non-existent in medical circles today. So I want to make sure that people are aware of that. We're still going to use it, though, for these purposes and trying to guide our discussion. So what we're going to do, I'm going to step through different parts of the Hippocratic Oath, present it as it appears in the Hippocratic Oath, and then show how UX aligns with each part of the Hippocratic Oath, things that we can do to sort of gear up ourselves mentally and how we can approach the ethical side of the work that we do. And I love how all-inclusive this is. This is very holistic when you look at it through this lens. So according to the Hippocratic Oath, that person who takes the oath has to swear to fulfill to the best of their ability and judgment the covenant as a whole. Now, how does that align from a UX perspective? There's a commitment to excellence is one thing that I can perceive through that. Integrity in one's operation, not just in it to occupy space, but to actually be committed to bringing value, being committed to being your best in the craft. And selflessness. I constantly say, again, some of you familiar with me have heard me say this before, UX is an ego-free discipline. It has nothing to do with us. It's all about who we serve. It's all about the users. It's all about the business. And it's all about driving wins for them and making things better for them. Whereas a lot of other disciplines in the creative world are very ego-driven, UX is ego-free. You cannot succeed, you cannot excel in UX if it is about you at all. It is about everyone else. Point number 2, in the Hippocratic Oath, they talk about respecting the hard-won scientific gains for the physicians in whose steps they will walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. So there's a commitment to recognizing what went before in the discipline, and then being willing to share what you bring to the table in the discipline. So there's a respect for the discipline's history, something that is sorely lacking, frankly, today. Respect for the foundations of the discipline. I showed you that big illustration. I call that the 4 pillars of UX. So heuristics and usability, information architecture, UX research, interaction and interface design. Those are our foundations. Those are the bases. Everything that we do comes out of those 4, and folks have to respect those, which a lot of people do not learn them or don't have respect for them. Some people even refer to that as old school, and they dismiss it. And in the process, they deliver terrible user experiences in the process. So something that's critical to know. We need to embrace and reflect the works and contributions of UX's pioneers and forefathers, those who went before us. One thing I always like to say is that great UX content has a very long shelf life. You can go back and read Jacob Nielsen's Usability Engineering, which was published, I believe, in the early to mid 90s. Phenomenal work. Go and get it. The things you read in that work are still valuable and still applicable today. So just something else to keep in mind. Number 3, will apply, I should say, for the benefit of the sick, all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. What is this basically referring to? We have to be, as mentioned earlier, committed to benefiting users. We need to strive to benefit clients and stakeholders. Again, it's always about others. The willingness to do what it takes to achieve success for all. Don't try to shortcut things. Don't try to take the easy route. Don't try to just get by. Don't try to just occupy space and do enough. Don't be into busy work, but strive to bring benefits. And we need to maintain the highest degree of morality. So morality is a part of UX. For example, if you are a UX professional, it is our job to make sure to push back when we see dark patterns being implemented. Again, we don't want to trap people. We don't want to get people to do what some of our stakeholders might want to drive to do if it's not in the best interest of, and it's not desired by the users, by the customers. And then lastly, and I sort of mentioned this already, we need to renounce busy work. Don't just do stuff because you're doing stuff. And then saying you're accomplishing something because you did stuff. That's just busy work. We need to make sure that we practice things or do not practice things that profit self. It's not about us. We don't just do things that are engaged in delivering something, a thing, if you will, but it's at the expense of the users and the stakeholders. Not a good thing. Number 4, I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. Again, bringing value, doing it in a way that is very, very moralistic, very, very sound, very desirable, very fair, very considerate, empathetic. There's that word again, which some people hate in UX circles, but if you define the word properly, it's a good word to use. We need to recognize that UX is both art and science. If you're heavy on the art side, not good. You're too heavy on the science side, don't pay attention to the art, out of balance. So make sure to recognize that art and science are both a part of proper UX work. We need to understand that soft skills and EQ easily and often outweigh anything we can do from a technique, methodology, and deliverable perspective. So make sure that we are engaging with people in a wholesome way, that we're doing things the right way for the right reasons. And then lastly, tools are never as important as the craft itself. That's a shout out to the Figma addicts. that we have out there. I'm sure many might be here today. Number 5, I will not be ashamed to say I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. We need to be committed to lifelong learning. We need to embrace collaboration. You do not have to, you do not have a responsibility to be the smartest person in the room. I was about to say that a different way. We'll just read it for now. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Don't try to be the smartest person in the room. Be a person that brings value at all times. Recognize that not knowing is not unethical, but being willingly ignorant is. So we don't want to be that person. Recognize that, respect the contributions and skill levels of others. Don't be threatened by other people. Don't be that person. Embrace what other people bring to the table and value it. Number 6 talks about respecting the privacy of patients. And I'm going to speed up just a little bit here. Respecting the privacy of patients, and in conjunction with that, on the UX side, you want to embrace humility. Know that things don't start and end with you. You always want to respect and strive to guard the privacy of research participants. This is a big ethical piece of UX research. When your work has life and death implications, make sure that your attention to detail is reflective of such. And when we don't impact life and death, we do impact the quality of life. So keep that in mind. Number 7, I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth with a sick human being whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. So this talks about or from a UX perspective, we can reflect on this as the fact that no matter what type of UX work you're doing, be human-centered, not tool-centered, human-centered. That is very important. Strive to understand the far-reaching nature of your work and whose identity is being impacted. Understand who's being impacted by what you do. And then again, empathize with those things. Learn how to discern between weeds and roots. Don't just treat the thing that everybody sees. Go beneath the surface and get into the elements that are actually the causes, not just the effects, but the causes of things, and make sure you're digging into things enough to identify such. Number 8, I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. This is really calling on us to be, when we parallel it on the UX side, engage in your UX work from a proactive perspective. And your UX work should always be extensible. We're not just designing for the moment, but think about how it can apply long-term. That's something we should always be in the process of doing. Remember that being reactive, it might be job security, as people call it, but it's also unethical, self-centered, and it is detrimental to the discipline at large. Number 9, I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body, as well as the infirm. On the UX side, be humane. Said it before, say it again. Be humane toward users. Be humane toward stakeholders. Be humane toward clients. Be humane toward team members. Be humane toward the UX discipline at large. We are responsible for cultivating and managing those relationships, interactions, and the impact that we have. And lastly, if I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life, art, respected, while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. On the UX side of the house, strive to keep a clear and a healthy conscience, knowing you've embraced the aforementioned ethical tenets. Foster your own optimal psychological safety by committing to and complying with such ethical operation. Now, that's the Hippocratic Oath. Again, we went through that really, really quickly. I understand that. I hope you're able to take that in. I'm sure you'll see the video or the deck later. There are institutions, there are associations that either have a guideline, a set of ethical guidelines, or have delivered courses, good courses on ethics and UX. These are just a few of them, the ones that I think stand out. And then we want to make sure that there are other people. This is just food for thought today. check out I'll go back to that one more time. Check out these different resources and the ethical guidelines that they've presented. Dive into them, but ethics is a part of what we do, folks, and we need to remember that. In closing, UX has a long and storied history, expanding and popularizing in parallel with the rise of the digital age. But while UX's acceptance and practice has advanced over the years, the true commitment to ethics is sorely lacking. The medical field has one set of the Hippocratic Oath, and UX, a bunch of people are talking about different things. Hopefully in the not too distant future, we can come together as a discipline. That would be great. Lacking pursuit of and alignment with ethical practices, we've gone off the rails over the last decade, partially due to the fact that we're not grounded in ethics as we should be. All stable and thriving disciplines subscribe to a code of ethics. Please remember that. Please keep that in mind. While some UX-related associations and organizations do present a code of ethics, the discipline does not currently subscribe to a universal code of ethics, and that's something that hurts us. The Hippocratic Oath, a standard of operation for those in the medical profession, does provide a solid framework to help guide UXers along ethical lines. Grounding or regrounding in ethics can help restore the discipline. We need to consider that today. We need to keep that in mind. And you can always make yourself a committee of one to operate ethically. I do it. I always make sure to do it. People don't always understand when I'm doing it, but I do it anyway, and I commit to it, and we trudge forward as a result. So, folks, that's it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the talk, UX and the Good Doctor. Again, I had a ball presenting that topic. It was a real honor to present for an organization I have really admired for a great deal of time. Thanks again to the folks at Human Factors International. Thanks to all those who came out to the talk and supported me. We really appreciate you. Go back and look at all the videos. All the videos from that conference are being published to YouTube as we speak right now. You can start to find those talks out there. So go and look up HFI 2025 UX Conference to listen to not only my talk as it was presented by them, but there's other talks out there as well. Take that stuff in, a lot of good stuff. But ethics are critical, folks. Let us please, let's understand the importance and ground ourselves in ethics today. I hope we gave you a lot of food for thought on that. Before we shut down today, before we wrap up, as you can see, we are on the Kaizen UX YouTube channel. As you can see, we have 476 subscribers currently. We currently have a subscriber drive because there are certain things that we cannot do until we reach the milestone of 500 subscribers on YouTube. So we're asking people, if we're benefiting you, if you enjoy the content, if you value what we're doing, if you appreciate it, please take the time, as a lot of people say, like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe. That'll help us get some more traction out there, and it'll help advance, I should say, what it is that we're doing out there. So please give us a like, please give us a subscribe, and we appreciate you. We thank you. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to the show today. We are celebrating our 5th anniversary this month. We'll have some of those special episodes for you coming up in the not too distant future. But when I found out that this was available, I had to just go ahead and share this right away. So again, we hope you enjoyed it. So that's all the time we have for today. We're going to shut down. We're going to close out right here. So until next week, this is Darren Hood, the host of the World of UX podcast, wishing everyone all the best. And until next time, happy UXing, everybody.